Travis Van Goodsell. I again watched 1984 last night. So how do I get this across to you guys? My father did not teach me how to do things in life. He expected me to do them myself. He expected me to learn things for myself, that I become self-reliant, to become my own man. Even as a baby, I was forced to hold my own bottle at an earlier age than most kids, because he didn't want to hold the bottle. And he got that from his father. I don't know how far back that goes, because I only know my grandfather. My grandfather would expect my grandmother to be his servant. She had to provide the steak and potato meals on a regular basis, and at meals she had to know that he needed the salt, for example. That was my patriarchal side. As we are slowly recovering from a Trump presidency, Trump literally tortured America, incited white supremacy, and committed horrible war crime atrocities. And he's not being held accountable. We are constantly being told in the news as breaking news, oh, Trump's under investigation for this, Trump's under investigation for that, but nothing is being done to him. He committed all his crimes in the public. There is no investigation needed. You just have to use his own rallies against him, his own acts as president against him, as Biden is flipping them all back. But in 2024, if we get Trump or some other hardcore Republican in the presidency, it's going to be all flipped back again. And we just go back and forth. Same with this filibuster now. Democrats are now seriously debating whether to get rid of the filibuster. Well, if they do, then when Republicans take control of the Senate again, in Congress, they'll flip it back and they'll have a filibuster. Or they'll take advantage of not having a filibuster. And screw over America. The liberal press, all during Trump, kept repeating over and over and over and over again that our democracy was in danger, trying to incite the public that our democracy was in danger. And yes, it was. But they would justify it with poll data, opinion poll data, with a small sampling of 1,000 people that are polled each and every single time, which they don't bother to tell us. But they use that to manipulate the audience. The Trump press, they just outright lie, just like a tabloid, as they are now snowflakes to petty grievances. But a democracy is a majority rule, minority loser. That's the kind of government a democracy is. Nowhere in the Constitution are we supposed to have a democracy. We are supposed to have a constitutional republic. Not a republic, a constitutional republic. So that a law is general enough to cover all human beings, not selected groups, not segregated groups. And yet we see our government, both Democrat and Republican, cater to selected groups. Republicans cater to the big corporations, giving them tax breaks and funneling multi-billions of dollars into corporations, which never trickles down. And Republican or liberals, Democrats, want individual discriminated groups to be given special privileges above and beyond all others. In 1984, Richard Burton plays the psychologist. He traps the guy as he's been watching him the whole time, and then catches him in the act. And then he's tortured as Richard Burton then brainwashes him, repeats over and over again through the torture, trying to get him confused about what 2 + 2 equals. And he gets tortured to the point where he turns on the woman to blame her. Torture her instead. Get her. And at the end, it is a tragedy. He's still in the cuckoo house, convinced that he's mentally ill. As they show the propaganda news behind him, where he's confessing to things he didn't even do. But he's locked away from society, and thus society never knows the truth. I still am frustrated that the liberal press are now doing polls concerning this third coronavirus relief package, about the 1,000 people polled whether they want free money or not, as if that's going to change Congress. Of course America all wants free money. Everybody wants a free handout. And yet that's what the liberal press was doing, to stoke our anger against those who refused to give us the money. Just democratic opinion. That's what cancel culture is. It's democracy, where you get the majority of the people into what you want them to believe in. And thus, opinion makes law. And from the Trump presidency, psychologists rose up and created mental illnesses. There is no such thing as a mental illness. If there's a problem in the brain, it's physical, and a medical doctor should be attending to it. But they created COVID anxiety and 2020 election anxiety. And now we get to the church. Everybody who's associated or have been associated with the church knows that it is the church's policy not to give free handouts. The church will not lift a single finger, will not spend a single penny to help even Mormons. Any help, any work, any labor is all done by Mormons, donated by Mormons, and the church takes from donations and invests it for their own wealth. And thus the church abandons Mormons. They require Mormons to be self-reliant, self-sustaining, self-sufficient. And they abandon Mormons, not providing the tools and the opportunities necessary to help us. They use the white supremacist slave abuse of pull yourselves up by your own bootstraps. They would constantly tell us, don't go into debt. But that's our economy. My parents did not give me an investment when I turned 18. I was on my own. No money. And I was supposed to make it in the world. So that when I graduated, my parents, and even the woman formerly called my first wife, expected me to just jump right into a career, making enough money to take care of a whole family with 2 cars, credit cards for the wife, a white picket fence, and I knew that can't be done. Not without an initial investment, an initial inheritance, and I didn't get it. And yet my own parents even blamed me for not pulling myself up by my own bootstraps. They set me up for failure and then condemned me when I failed. And technically I didn't fail. I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. I went on to decipher Egyptian petroglyphs with deciphering Paleo-Hebrew. I then went on to discover that the Bible was written by the translations from the Egyptian petroglyphs. But our society is not designed for a guy like me with my education. The church tortures Mormons with conferences and firesides and other stuff now that we have technology to broadcast. But the church, they don't mingle. They don't get down and dirty with the work that needs to be done. Having been a firefighter, I know the importance of an immediate response to an emergency. I know that you do not tell people to take care of themselves, because it was my job to rescue them. That is religion. The government put the burden on religion to spend their donated money to help the poor and the needy, because the government doesn't want to do it. But the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints doesn't want to do it either. And so the burden in Utah has been placed upon the Catholic Church, Utah Food Bank, and other charities, as the Church directs Mormons to also donate to them. We pay our taxes. That's what our taxes are supposed to go for, is helping out the poor and the needy, the sick and the afflicted. And instead our money gets sent to billionaires. And in the 1984 example, as the Church used the torture technique of abandonment with talks of guilt trips and vain reward for obedience, which can never occur. Even those of the Christian faith have developed in the Church's own doctrine the impossible gospel, that Mormons are conflicted with the traditional thinking versus the Book of Mormon doctrine. Mormons believe they are not perfect and will never be perfect until they are made perfect. But the Book of Mormon says, now is the day to be perfect. But Mormons misunderstand the definition and think that it means raising your kids to be career-oriented the way you want them to be, not helping develop what they want to be. That you need to bake a cake just right, decorate your house just right, and things that have nothing to do with perfection. Perfection of the soul. A heart full of love. And I saw it with my own parents. They didn't care about raising me. They showed no love. It was just their duty as Mormons to raise children. And that somehow they were going to receive the reward of me pulling myself up by my own bootstraps. And so yeah, you can imagine they're disappointed with my failure. But it doesn't help when ex-Mormons are taken advantage of by cult leaders like John Dehlin. He's the Richard Burton to the Church's electric shock torture. John Dehlin is the one repeating over and over and over again The church is bad. Pay me money. He perpetuates the lies about the church that the church themselves are perpetuating. Pay me money. I will help you. John Dehlin is a psychologist. He knows how to groom. He's educated on it. The Book of Mormon warns us about groomers in religion. It's called priestcraft, where all your interest is in making money, becoming popular, but never taking care of anybody. You do not help people out of their problem with the church by perpetuating it, by telling them, oh, you're right, the church is so evil. Oh yeah, it's so wrong that your Mormon family and ward and friends, they shunned you, they're attacking you. That doesn't solve anything. Validating people's feelings does not solve the reason why they have those feelings. Holding people accountable solves people's feelings. Getting people punished for their crimes solves the pain that people go through. There's still the loss from the damage caused that will never go away. But it sickens me when I see too many shows that try to teach mankind, the viewers, to let people get away with their crimes. And they say that, oh, you don't want to stoop to their level. Excuse me? Self-defense is not stooping to their level. Holding people accountable is not stooping to their level. Alrighty.